construction side. So yeah.
Sure, cool. So let's start, right? So okay, I'll give a short intro about Chandan Dai. So Chandan Dai is a 2019 civil engineer graduate from the New York University in Abu Dhabi. Before attending NYUAD, he got the opportunity to study IB diploma program at Sussex College, Hastings, UK, as a Pestalozzi Scholarship Awardee. He will now attend NYU Stern School of Business after having been awarded the Stern Award, a merit-based award that covers the cost of the MBA education. Chandan Dai is a keen social activist. He has been involved in various social initiatives, both as a part of his university experience and postgraduate career. He also served as the executive director of Bloom Nepal School after his graduation, where he wrote a mathematics book. He has worked frequently as a teacher in various schools across the country. During his time at NYUAD, he became the president of the NYUAD Math Club, interned as an engineer at UAE-based companies, and built environmentally friendly houses in Jordan as part of his social ventures. He also has experience as a researcher in Amber Lab at NYUAD. Having been awarded full scholarships everywhere he has studied since the fourth grade, the awards he has amassed is inexhaustible. Notable ones include the first prize from Public Health Think Tank Challenge in the UAE, where he helped devise solutions to combat road accidents in the UAE, and the Zayed Sustainability Prize Award to Bloom Nepal School, where he was tenured at. So we are really happy to have you here, Dai.
Yeah, thank you, Saksham. Thank you for the kind words. And it's such a pleasure to be here. And you guys are amazing for speaking so highly. But just to give a brief detour, I'm just a common person with aspirations, strengths, and weaknesses, just like any of you. So why don't we get right on with the core events of your session?
So today's event is an Ask Me Anything event. So we have taken some questions from the members of our community. So yeah, let's start off with the first question. So yeah, as per your experience, how different are career opportunities of NYU Abu Dhabi campus over the main campus that's in New York City? And do people recognize it in the same way, or is there any difference? How is it like?
Mm, all right. So before I answer that question, I just want to make sure everyone in here understands both Nepali and English, right? Like we
Yeah,
don't have someone who doesn't understand, say, Nepali or something.
I think everyone understands Nepali and
All
English.
right, that's amazing. Yes. So here as we go about in these discussions, my aim will be to give an honest and pragmatic answers to your question. Okay. So the important thing is to give you a true picture, right? So that wherever you are and whatever your aspirations are, you can make informed decision, right, in your career pathways. So that was an amazing question by Saksham, and it's actually, I mean, NYU Abu Dhabi is a part of the bigger NYU network, right? But it's an independent university in that it grants its own degrees. But the ethos and the modality of the campus is same as that of the entire, the way it is governed, the curriculum. It's in line with the NYU network. Now, I have had the opportunity to take classes at NYU New York campus as well as in Abu Dhabi. And as a part of my 4 years there, I also took classes in NYU Prague. And as Saksham earlier said, did internships in Jordan and other countries. So I think for me, I mean, the important thing about education, right, whether that's at NYU New York or it's NYU Abu Dhabi or at any other college, is rigor, right? It's important that you go to a place which pushes you to your limits, right? It's much worth it to like work hard and get a B than to not work at all and get a A, right? Because at the end of the day, the grades isn't going to help you when you have to solve a real life problem, right? So that is basically the mission of NYU Abu Dhabi. It focuses on rigor and research. And I think on that end, I actually felt challenged, and which is the foundation to all that I have been able to do after graduating. So to answer your question, it definitely has a very rigorous system. And in terms of career prospect, like we have something of a what do you call it, a cliche here in Nepal, like you feel को scope छ, यो फिल्डको स्कोप छैन, त्यो सबै गफ हो. सबै फिल्डको स्कोप हुन्छ, so long as you are capable and skillful in that field, everything is in demand. It's not like I mean, when I was starting my undergrad, I wanted to become a doctor. I wanted to study medicine, right? But then I realized I took a semester of biology, and I realized that was not for me. And then I chose something else, right? And I found that I actually enjoyed being a civil engineer, right? And then at the same time, I mean, there was things like अब नेपालमा सिभिल इन्जिनियरको चाहिँ डिमान्ड छ, यसको चाहिँ छैन, त्यसको छैन, त्यो भन्ने हुँदैन होइन. So long as you are capable, there is a demand for everything, whether it's natural sciences or social sciences. So त्यो career prospect पनि त्यही नै हो. College doesn't give you you see, no college in the planet is going to hand you jobs, right? That's just impossible. However, it's like it all depends on the kind of platform you build for yourself, the kind of rigor you subject yourself to. So at the end of the day, it's important to not go by the field that you think has scope, but rather go by you see, selecting something where you will be challenged, where you will be surrounded with people who value knowledge, who value you see, rigor and research, right? So that's the important thing.
Yeah, exactly. Like if you have passion, like then every field has a scope in it. Yeah, true.
Yeah, exactly. Just to add to that one, I if you recall, like nowhere in my words earlier I used the word passion, because it's a very subjective term.
Yeah,
You may be passionate about something, but that's not going to feed you, right? I say, for example, I may be passionate about ocean diving, deep sea diving, and I want to study in Nepal. Sorry, I want to stay in Nepal. Now that two cannot go hand in hand, right? Because there are no oceans in Nepal. And you see, even if I were to go abroad and like get myself a career in that, it's okay. But like not everything that we are passionate about is going to feed us. And at the end of the day, it's important to fulfill the basic necessities, right? And only then, like I remember, I hope you all recall studying in grade 9 or 10 Maslow's hierarchy, right, of the pyramid of needs.
yeah,
So it's important that you fulfill things that are at the foundation. So I have a very subjective view about passion. It's good to be passionate about things. It's good to be passionate about things that you really enjoy doing. But at the end of the day, it's also important to be pragmatic.
yeah,
It's important to be pragmatic. It's important to like follow knowledge. Now that may not be in things that you are only passionate about. For example, when you go to a college in the US, when you go to a liberal arts college, you may be passionate about maths, but you will need to take philosophy classes. You will need to take you see, economics classes. So it's important to really value knowledge, as opposed to त्यहाँ गएर चाहिँ होइन म त म्याथको प्यासनेटमा एकदम प्यासनेट छु, म्याथ मात्र गर्छु, अर्को चाहिँ गर्दै गर्दिन भन्यो भने you are not going to make the best out of the opportunities that they are offering.
George, correct, exactly. Yeah. Okay, cool. So now the second question. What were the personal and career ambitions that you had thought of while applying to NYUAD? And how did NYUAD help you in achieving those goals?
Well, that's an amazing question, actually. During my entire time there, I mean, at least in the beginning few semesters, I was all over the place, right? Because म चाहिँ के मान्छु भने अब हामी कलेज सुरु गर्दाखेरि what our age is what 18 19 something like that, right? अब त्यो उमेरमा चाहिँ ठ्याक्क म जिन्दगीमा यही गर्छु भन्ने कुरा चाहिँ यदि थाहा छ भने कि त तिमी बुद्ध हो कि त बुद्धु हो होइन because it's like that's too young a age to decide the pathway for your entire life, and it's perfectly okay to be confused. In fact, like it's normal to be confused, right? If you're not confused, as I said, कि त बुद्ध हो कि त बुद्धु हो.
Exactly.
So it was the same with me. I mean, as I said earlier, like I went there with the hope that I'll be studying medicine. Now, at the time, my calling about medicine was all about this grand vision. I'll serve the poor, I'll serve the sick, I'll do this, I'll do that, I'll serve the humanity, and that's perfectly fine for someone at that age, right? But that's not being pragmatic. And then I explored, just as any liberal arts program offers. I explored. I took several classes in physics. I took classes in biology, in maths, in economics, and then I did some internship experiences, moved around places, and then I decided maybe it was engineering that I actually enjoyed. Right? I went to Jordan. That's where it hit me. I went to Jordan. I worked with something called Habitat for Humanity. So it's an American organization which was set up by, I think it's Ronald Reagan, to bring the community together to develop houses for people who cannot afford to build their own homes, right? So as a part of that, I went to Jordan to build houses. And that's when I thought maybe this is something that I enjoy, something that I'm good at, and something that can feed me down the line, and something that will help me make a difference. Right, and NYUAD was there throughout. I mean, it was there for me to try out the essence of medicine. I took biology classes. I worked for a month in a hospital, shadowing doctors. I went to operation theaters, and I realized I can never cut a person, or that environment is not for me, or I'm not made to, like handle the ways. That is required of a biology student, right? And so I changed, and there was NYUAD who supported me with the transition. And then when I went to Jordan, it was all funded by NYUAD. So it was there throughout in my career progression. At the end of my 4 years, I applied. I got jobs in the UAE, and then I decided to return, and it was there to support throughout. So it's perfectly okay to be confused. In fact, as I said earlier, it's normal.
Yeah, like it's better to, I think, explore also once you go to college. Like you have a lot of options, and sometimes like you never really know if the thing you want to do, maybe what if it's not the best thing for you, and what if there's something else you might want to do later. So
yeah, exactly. And again, but that doesn't mean you keep on exploring your entire time there, because it's important that you become decisive when it's about time for that, and yeah, but it's a pretty flexible system. And one of my professors, he used to say, and this really was something that struck me at the time, was getting a degree or getting a major in a particular field. It's basically like trying to develop a perspective through which you want to look at the world. That's it.
Yeah.
Right. That's basically it. And these days, it's a multidisciplinary world. So you may just study for one thing and do completely different. Right. So it's perfectly fine. Yes, go ahead.
Okay, so thank you. Next question. Okay, yeah. So how do you plan to use an MBA and a civil engineering degree for your career? What benefits does it have for engineering graduates, since the MBA culture has been growing pretty much substantially in the Indian subcontinent as of late?
Well, that's a challenging question actually. So The reason why I chose to pursue MBA after engineering is to gain a different perspective, because I think I have the required amount of engineering skills for me to make a career in that field. But you see, like I also wanted to get a perspective on how to lead companies, like how to manage projects, right? Because at the end of the day, say for example, we want to build a stadium here in Nepal. Now, just being an engineer and being able to design that stadium isn't going to build that stadium, right?
Yeah.
It's important to know how to manage money, to raise funds for that, to manage the project when it's ongoing. And that is something that's beyond engineering. And so I wanted to develop those perspectives. One is that, and the second one is at MBA, you see, uh, it's a culmination of management, business, and administration, right? So it's something that prepares the learner in a holistic way. And as for your question about the Indian subcontinent, yes, there is a lot of hype. There is definitely a lot of hype. But then again, I don't really think MBA as a ladder to affluent career down the line. Because it's as I said earlier, it's not the degree that gets you the food on your table. It's what you learn while you were doing that degree,
Yeah.
right? So, for example, when you look at the cost for an MBA in the US, it's pretty massive. And for some people, it may not be the right program. I mean, not just for financial reason, but like there might be a lot of opportunity cost, right? I mean, there are opportunity costs to me as well. I'll have to be out of work for 2 years. Uh, so all of those things are there, but then that being said, I feel like in the long run it will help me develop as an engineer in terms of like enhancing my leadership skills in the way I look at projects that is instrumental to the development of a society from a perspective other than engineering, right? So that is why I have decided to do that. And yeah, I think that's basically it. I mean, I'm yet to explore. I mean, if I already knew everything about MBA, there was no need to go and do it.
Yeah.
I'm also open to seeing the challenges that lays ahead, and go through it.
Yeah. Yeah. Correct. Okay. So the next question. Since NYUAD is a relatively small institution, did that hinder you from making professional connections, seeking internship opportunities, or did you feel you would like benefit more from a larger campus? And how do you think we can personally compensate for all these issues?
Mm, well, first of all, it's not even an issue. It's a privilege I mean, at least it was for me. It was a privilege for me to be a part of that campus. And it was a small campus, and I think I preferred that to larger campuses. I mean, I totally understand people prefer larger cohorts as well. But for me, I mean, it's important to know the professors with whom I'm learning. And I think that helped a lot in terms of building networks, in terms of internships, in terms of jobs. Because in a lot of my engineering classes, the maximum number of students there were around 6 or 7. On average there were 3, 4 students, and so we got a lot of attention. We were taught by the professors. Not teaching assistants. I'm not saying they are bad in any ways, but like we were taught by the professors who had ample experiences. Who really had gone through the path themselves, who had walked the walk, right? And that really was important to me. And because it was a small community at NYU Abu Dhabi, as you rightly said, it actually built a very tight circle for us. We knew everyone. I mean,
Yeah.
everyone like upperclassmen, our own, and the younger ones, and that's why like we developed a strong bond, as not just between students, but with the faculty, with the staff, right? And that was instrumental in portraying a sense of belonging, that you belong to a place, right? I have already told you like how it was instrumental to my learning, right, through the smaller
Yeah.
class sizes, and you see like getting all the personalized support, and in addition to that, like there was an amazing social life, and I mean even now I keep in touch with my professors. Like it's been almost 3 years since I no 2 years since I graduated, and yet like I keep in touch with a lot of them. Like I talk with the staffs at the campus every now and then. I know the younger classmen or the upper classmen. I think that's the beauty of it.
Yeah.
And you see, that is what network truly is. Like the people that you are truly connected with, as opposed to how many people that you know just by name.
Exactly. Yeah, like that is the benefit of a small campus house. Like when there are less people, like you get more connected better, and like you become close
Mhm.
with people, even with the professors. Like like as you said, 6 to 7 in a class. So obviously there is a personal connect, one on like like individual uh, with the professor. So yeah, that's
Yeah, that and I mean this is something that is very much ignored in Nepal, the importance of mental health, because
yeah,
we are at the prime of our lives. There are so many decisions to make, so many paths that we can take, and then we can only select a few, right? And it's really easy for us to break down. At times like we feel we are inadequate, and I think that support system at NY Abu Dhabi was very strong. That is something that we don't get here in Nepal, or I mean I'm sure like there are places in Nepal that does offer that support, but then I can only give a perspective on the support that I received. I mean, we received at NY Abu Dhabi, and I think that was really amazing. I mean, it's not just counseling, but it's like
yeah,
there were student managed clubs that supported you to navigate through challenges, not academic challenges, but, like things that stressed you out, things that burned you mentally, and that was really important. I mean, whether it was medical support or psychological support, and those things really stands out. I mean, these are some of the things that you will not see in any rankings. The status of the mental health support system that the student is provided with, or the kind of environment that the school provides in terms of like looking beyond academics or career. These things are very subjective, and some things that cannot be quantified, right?
yeah,
And for that, I mean, it's important to talk to someone who has been through that environment. And I think almost every NY Abu Dhabi student will agree about how strong the support system on campus is.
yeah. I mean, I do agree with this. Like rankings are not always the best indication of how good the school is. Like it's better to research on your own, talk to alumni and professors, and get to know what the school really is, and have a feel of it if you will fit in or not. So yeah,
Yeah, because it's important. I mean, if you decide something just solely through ranking, I mean, say you want to apply to NYU because it has a very lowest acceptance rate. I mean, what, at 2% or 3%, then maybe that's not the place for you. But if you can see the essence of what makes NY Abu Dhabi education, and whether you can be a part of it. For example, like the essence of NYUAD education is being able to find home, in a place different from home. That's the essence. I mean, you're being able to connect with someone who has a completely different experiences than yourself.
yeah,
So uh, you see 2 or 3% acceptance rate, and I want to go there because it will boost my career or chances down the line. That may not be the right reason. The right reason is to see that you really can resonate with the essence of that community.
Yeah, exactly. That's true. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, on to the next question.
Mm-hmm.
If you could do college all over again, what would you
Mm-hmm.
do differently, and what things would you keep constant that you believe were key to your academic success?
Mm, uh, well, that's an amazing question as well, and I haven't really thought about it, to be honest. But I mean, certainly, like I will maybe study less. I don't know. No, but then again, I wouldn't do that. I mean, because at the end of the day, it's a college, right?
Yeah.
It's not a athletic school. You know, it's not a swimming association. It's college. The moment it's a college, academics is the central part of it,
True.
right? So it's important to really keep up with that. But then if I had to do it all over again, maybe I would take a few more classes in psychology. I mean, something that I really enjoy, but I never really actually got a chance to explore. Maybe I would explore that. Yeah, or like I mean, I had a pretty amazing college year, so there is not much that like I wished I could do all over again, because I graduated happily, and then there were lots of memories to cherish. But yeah, maybe I'd explore psychology and maybe learn a few more languages. I mean, I took Arabic. I learned a bit of Arabic. Maybe learn more about it, because I genuinely believe one way you can respect a culture that is different from your own is by learning that language. The language of that culture, right? Because uh, say for example, I mean, like you went to Arabic. Sorry, you went to the UAE. And when you greet someone in their language, it's like you are embracing their culture. I mean, it makes us happy, every time someone who is a tourist here says us namaste or something like that,
Yeah.
right? No matter what the accent. So I genuinely believe, I mean, that's one of the strongest ways through which we really can show we respect the culture. So maybe I would take some advanced Arabic classes. I took 101, which is like the foundation, and I learned to read, write, and speak the basics. But like if I could do it all over again, I would rearrange my schedule and maybe take the intermediate level classes in Arabic as well.
Yeah. Yeah. That's actually really good. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, and think about it in this way. I mean, what is the major reason behind most of the political problems in Nepal? I mean, it comes because of lack of respect, right? It's
True.
all ethnicity related problems. It's because we cannot embrace someone else's culture, background. We cannot embrace the way in which you see someone who speaks Nepali in a different way, in a different accent, right? Isn't that the problem? Isn't that why we as a country haven't been able to get together, and move ahead, right? So I mean, imagine like some students from the students in Tarai, if they were taught the basics of the language that are based in the hills and mountains, and vice versa. Imagine like some Maithili being taught in Humla, and some Khas being taught in Zappa, right? That would have been amazing.
Yeah.
Doesn't take a lot, right? And that would produce a generation of students who would learn to respect each other, embrace each other. For example, how many of you go in front of the TV, and if you, I mean, I'm sure none of you feel that way, but how many of the common people, like the people who have never been to a Middle East country, how many of them, when they come in front of a TV and listen to someone speaking in Arabic and not think negatively about it? So it's really important to learn someone's language. That way, like you develop a unique ability through which you can show your respect. Because respect comes through effort, right? and you are putting in the effort to learn their language, right? So yeah, I did that. I mean, as I said, I can read, write in Arabic, I can speak the basics, but I would love to take it to an advanced level.
Yeah, respecting culture and language is really, really important. Yeah, true.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Okay. So the next question is about the Stern scholarship. So,
Mm-hmm.
what factors do you think affects the MBA profile, and was the Stern scholarship purely merit, or did other parts of your personal career help as well? And did the fact that you attended a satellite campus of NYU New York help? And yeah, and why did you select Stern for your MBA?
Oh, wow, that's a lot of questions actually, and let me take it one at a time.
Sure.
So yes, probably the fact that I applied for a satellite campus may have played some role, because at the end of the day, I came from the same environment that they were looking for, right? But that being said, that was not the only factor. As I said, an MBA is a very costly program. Right now at Stern, the cost is around $125,000 a year. So for 2 years, that's $250,000. Now, initially, I didn't, plan on going for the MBA right away. It was only at the lockdown that I started researching, and I found out that maybe I should take a shot. And right when I have the energy to be a student, maybe I can just get done with it. So that's how I applied. And I also got into Stanford. I got into the Knight Hennessy Scholarship Program. So it's like one of the few programs in the world that funds fully funds a master's education at Stanford. So I got that, and I wanted to go to NYU because, as I said, I really connect to that place. I had an amazing undergrad experience. I'm not saying Stanford is bad; it's
Hmm.
amazing, and that is why I applied. But then, I have a different kind of connection with NYU. I mean, uh, you see the history behind why NYU was set up was for you to understand why I have a different connection, you may have to understand a bit about the history. So it was by a person called Mr. Albert, right? And his team. They were in New York at the time, and they wanted to set up a college which would welcome everyone, not just the elite or the wealthy ones. It would a place that would give equal opportunities to anyone who wanted to take a shot at life, wanted to work hard and chase wildest dreams. Right? It's one of the first college in the U.S. To admit women, uh, to study law. So I think these things really was important to me. I mean, at the time, like the other colleges, they were mostly restricted to a particular group of people. And there was this college which wanted to break the stereotypes, which wanted to create opportunities for everyone. And I think I want to contribute towards a system like that, because I come from the same background. And it's important for me to be able to put in effort that makes a difference in the kind of people who may not have access to everything right away, who are not born with a silver spoon, right? So that is why I decided to go with Stern. I mean, of course, I already knew the place, and then there was one other key reason which was important in my choice to choose Stern, and that was the former president of NYU, John Sexton. I don't know if you have heard of him, but he's one of my inspirations. So he always says things that are unconvincing. So as I said initially, like it's not an inspirational talk that I'm giving you right now. It's a pragmatic talk. And it's the same thing that John said. It's important that we inspire the next generation, not through blunt theories, but through practical things that we have lived through. And there are things as basic as the cost of that airfare or the cost of that visa fee that prevents you from attending a college in the US. Now, NYU Abu Dhabi was set up to counteract just that.
Yeah.
So it had a mission to go at the heart of the problem, right? And that really resonated with me because I was someone at the time who couldn't go to a college if I wasn't offered the air ticket, right? So these things were really important to me. And as I said, I mean, Stanford is amazing. I would definitely love to be a part of it, but I chose Stern because there was a personal connection. And of course, the scholarship that I received, it's fully funded and it's all merit based.
Yeah. Yeah, that's actually really great. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
really
and again, just to add to that, so you see, like I didn't decide based on rankings, right? I mean, of course, NYU is one of the top colleges in the US, but then if you look at the ranking, Stanford comes ahead. But that was not the factor for me to decide. Because नेपालमा मान्छेले चाहिँ I also got into Cambridge, right? Now so many people here know about Cambridge and Oxford. It would have been glamorous. यहाँ नेपालमा भन्नु ए म त केम्ब्रिज गएँ भनेर गफ हान्नु हुन्थ्यो नि त
हजुर
होइन यहाँ त मान्छेले त केम्ब्रिज त चिनेको थियो तर यहाँको मान्छेलाई मैले गफ हानेर त मैले खान पाउने होइन नि त राइट मेरो छिमेकीले थाहा पाएर त म खुसी हुने होइन दुई चार जनाले थाहा पाएर right at the end of the day it's me who needs to make a decision based on what is best for me, right? So it's not about US news and rankings anymore. I mean that's a disaster actually if you really think about that. It's like यदि तिमीले आज कसैलाई त्यसको बेसिसमा सिलेक्ट गर्छौ भने भोलि तिमीलाई पनि त कसैले त्यसरी सिलेक्ट गर्छ होला नि त
true
right? So that may not be healthy. I mean it's a way to look at it, it's a way to do your research, but that shouldn't be the reason, right? Had that been the reason, I mean I'll probably go to Stanford, Cambridge, so you see, like I knew Stern was the right place for me. That is why I'm going there. Knight Hennessy has an acceptance rate of 1%, and I was the first student from Nepal to get into it, and from NYU Abu Dhabi as well, because it's really important to understand yourself. किनकि जब हामी एकदमै स्ट्रगल गरिरहेका हुन्छौँ नि at the darkest phases of our life, it's only you who are with yourself, not your family, not your friends. जब राति निद्रा लाग्दैन नि सोचेर, most of you are in high school probably, you are all worried कहाँ पाउने होला, के होला, कलेज पाइन्छ पाइदैन, when you are awaiting decision or awaiting that sad result, त्यो राति जब त्यो सोचेर निद्रा लाग्दैन नि त्यति बेला कोही पनि हुँदैन के. You are the only one who is with yourself. So it's important to listen to what you have got to say about it, right?
Yeah. Correct. Good. Okay, so next question. Any noticeable difference that you found between the graduates who have done civil engineering in Nepal versus the one who have done in NYUAD and abroad, both in personal, career, and academic spheres?
Well, yes, actually, yes. But then I don't think it would be healthy for me to generalize, because of course there are people, I mean, some of the amazing engineers that I have met and had the pleasure to work with were educated in Nepal. But most of them that I have met, they really underappreciate the idea of research. Like, let's do something new भन्ने कुरा चाहिँ खासै मतलबै हुँदैन क्या.
हजुर.
त्यो चोइस भनेको ल लोकसेवा दिनुपर्छ या कतै केही गर्ने होइन, त्यो केही नयाँ गरौँ, or like construction is something that evolves. I mean, civil engineering basically. Now just look around yourself. What's the structure that you see around yourself is built up? It's concrete, right? The concrete सधैँ थिएन नि त, it was not there. Someone took the courage, someone took the time and the energy to discover concrete, right? And then to like to enhance it, to बढ्दै जान्छ, त्यसलाई चाहिँ राम्रो बनाउँदै जानु right? तर त्यो हाम्रो एजुकेसन सिस्टममा चाहिँ त्यो छैन जस्तो लाग्यो, द आइडिया अफ रिसर्च अबाउट कन्क्रिट. It's like we just take it, whatever we are fed, we take it. It's important to, if you want to get the right answers, it's also important to ask the right questions, right? त्यो right questions सोध्ने, राइट क्वेसन सोध्ने नेचर चाहिँ यहाँ छैन जस्तो लाग्छ मलाई चाहिँ, होइन? फर एक्जाम्पल अब त्यो कङ्क्रिट भयो, त्यसपछि देन दे डिसाइडेड कङ्क्रिट इज नट एनफ, किनकि अब माटो कङ्क्रिटहरू भनेको के हो, इट ओन्ली टेक्स लोड when you are compressing it. You cannot stretch it, right? A rubber band. Can you stretch it like a rubber band? No. It only takes load when it's compressed. But when I'm building a house, there are things that are in tension as well as in compression. So people thought, okay, so concrete takes compression, we need to do something about tension as well. And they decided to come up with the rebars, to dandiyaru.
Yeah.
Right? And then people thought about bridges. And so they came up with something more better, something better, not more better. That's a sad mistake, right? Something better, and that was pre-stressed concrete, right? So त्यो चाहिँ यहाँ छैन जस्तो लाग्छ क्या मलाई, because if you look at the history of Pulcho campus, which is like one of the best in the country, it was set up with a mission to compete with some of the best engineering colleges in the planet, like IIT or MIT or whatever. And look at the kind of research that I mean, of course, there are people who are amazing from there. I'm not denying that, but then again, it hasn't, for whatever it was built, I mean, the ambition with which it was built, I don't think we have gotten that level of rigor and research from it. So त्यो चाहिँ lack हो जस्तो लाग्छ मलाई. And I think the opposite is true for most of the campuses, college abroad. होइन, like they're always exploring new things. अब त्यो जहिले पनि नयाँ ल्याउनु पर्छ नै भन्ने छैन. रिसर्चमा त maximum cases you fail.
True.
Right? But it's important that you explore. एजुकेसनको आइडिया भनेको त्यो हो नि त, इभल्भ गर्दै जानु पर्यो होइन. if you study the history of medicine, पहिला चाहिँ अक्सफोर्ड केम्ब्रिजमा when they trained doctors or surgeons, and if you developed a fever, the cure was to bleed you, because they thought your blood had gone bad. But then people took the time and effort to research and enhance the idea of medicine. And here we are today, right? So त्यो चाहिँ बाहिर चाहिँ त्यो छ, तर यहाँ चाहिँ त्यो खासै छैन जस्तो लाग्छ मलाई.
Yeah, exactly. Like researching is really important to evolving, right? Like you have to research in every field needs it to evolve, and it won't remain the same all the time. Yeah, and researching is actually pretty important. And yeah. Yeah. Okay, so now the last question, and I just want to inform the viewers that you guys can prepare your questions if you guys have any. So we'll be taking questions after this question. Cool. So what advice would you give an incoming freshman at your alma mater to enjoy their education and student life to the fullest?
त्यही हो, लाइक अब ओपन माइन्डेड भएर जानुपर्छ होइन. त्यो एकदम रिजिड भएर जानु हुँदैन, म यही गर्छु यही मात्र गर्छु भएर जानु हुँदैन. लाइक एक्सप्लोर गर्दै जानुपर्छ. अल्सो पढाइसँगै अब लाइक इट्स इम्पोर्टेन्ट टु नो पिपल, because it's like when you live in a diverse community, you learn so much from others. अनि त्यो बेला मात्र हामीलाई थाहा हुन्छ कि हामी कति रिलेटेड छौँ भनेर. I mean, someone from Zimbabwe and someone from Nepal, they may have a lot of similarities in the way they grew up, right? So त्यसरी चाहिँ ओपन माइन्डेड भएर जानुपर्छ. अब त्यो चाहे त्यो एकाडेमिक्समा होस्, चाहे त्यो like social life ma hoस्. So that त्यो open mindedness नै हो एउटा. अरु त I mean, if you are like important, I mean, if you think it's important to go to a college abroad, you probably already know why you want to go. So त्यस्तो त्यो you already have a plan how you are going to make the best out of it. सो त्यसमा त खासै भनिराख्नुपर्छ जस्तो पनि लाग्दैन मलाई तर देयर इज समथिङ द्याट आई रियली वान्ट टु से एन्ड आई even though like this was not a question, remember every one of you will apply and not every one of you will get into college that you want to get in, and that's okay. It's important to have an alternative, okay, because it's not the end of the world, right? It's really important. I mean, I cannot stress enough to flow नै disrupt गरिदिन्छ क्या. So you do your high school, then you take gap years, a few gap years, you keep on applying, and you don't get अनि त्यो high school सम्म जसले मेहनत गरेर पढेको हुन्छ उसको त्यो एनर्जी नै हराएर जान्छ. This is like probably the most vulnerable points in your life. I mean, if I have to recall my own life so far, so I'm 26 now. If I have to recall my own life, I know those years were the most vulnerable parts of my own life. किनकि everything is so uncertain. त्यो थाहै हुँदैन के भइरहेछ, कहाँ भइरहेछ, कहाँ के हुने हो भन्ने कुरा थाहा हुँदैन नि त, राइट? सो अनि हामी अप्लाई गर्छौँ त्यो सबैले पाउँछ भन्ने छैन, because at the end of the day you need to know that you are competing globally and you are competing to be in a place that is completely different from your own society, right? And it's the generosity of those societies that they are welcoming us. I mean, imagine how many American students apply to study in TU or KU. No, right? Either we are not capable enough or we are not generous enough. One of the two, right? I know.
Yeah.
So त्यो सबैले पाउँछ भन्ने छैन रे, र त्यो भएन भन्दैमा चाहिँ डोन्ट थिंक मेरो चाहिँ के ल्याकिङ छ, त्यो खाले फिलिङ हुनु पनि एकदमै स्वाभाविक हो. लाइक you see, you develop that inferiority complex. मैले पाए नै होला, or म अनलकी छु, all of that. त्यो हुन्छ नै, त्यस्तो नसोच भन्ने म भन्दिनँ, किनकि त्यो अटोमेटिकली सोच्ने कुरा हो. But then it's important that you prepare yourself for that as well, right away. एउटा अल्टरनेटिभ चाहिँ जहिले पनि राखिराख्नुपर्छ, whether that is in a different country or in your own country. But it's important to have a backup, right? It's important to have a backup. It's really important. किनकि I have seen त्यो मोमेन्टमै बिग्रिन्छ, एउटा स्पिडले हाई स्कुलसम्म गएको हुन्छ, and then you don't get something that you are hoping for, and you are like, it's end of the world. No. त्यो पछि मास्टर्स छ, or maybe like you will be the founder of a company which creates the next breakthrough.
True.
So feel sad if that happens, but don't give up, right? And plan for that. अहिले बात है, किनकि it's a given. So apply हामी सबैले गर्छौं, तर you see, like I don't know, to those who have studied economics, you probably understand the demand is high and the supply is less, right? So that means not everyone is going to end up getting what they seek, right? And that's perfectly fine.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, like a lot of students applying, and a lot of them actually require scholarship to attend, and it becomes really competitive at times. And a lot of time, most people do not end up getting it, and they do get depressed. So it's important to have a backup, as you said. Yeah, so that's there. And yeah, I guess yeah, okay, so yeah, now we'll be taking questions from the audience. Okay, guys, you can send me your questions. Cool. Okay, yeah, so one of the questions is what does NYUAD look for in the students? Like, what do you think that they look into it? Like, what type of profile do you think?
So of course, like the first they look at someone who can stand the rigor of the place, right? So you need to be academically sound. I mean, that's like fundamental, right? But beyond that, you need to be, as I said initially, you need to be someone who has the ability to find home in a completely different place. Because when you go to NYUAD, you will realize there is no majority. Like when you go to a US campus, it's like the Americans have the majority. त्यहाँ चाहिँ त्यो UAE को इमिरातीहरू they compose what 20-25% of the students, right?
Yeah.
So it's really important to have that ability to connect with people. Now, how does that come? So it comes through a lot of ways. Like it is reflected through your own stories, right? Because the sense of diversity, and the fact that the future NYUAD student embraces the diversity and makes the best out of it and contributes towards like making the world a better place in their own ways is very important to being a NY Abu Dhabi student, right? So that I think is the most important factor. So that is determined through interviews, through how you, I mean, avoid it lockdown level, you candidate weekend but then how you interact with your fellow candidate weekend students, or just to get invited into it. I mean, to set formula भन्ने त कुनै ठाउँ पनि हुँदैन के. But you see, like it's your stories. I mean, all of you have a story of your own. It's like how you portray that story that is important for them to decide whether they are a right fit or not. अब academics त हुनै पर्छ होइन. अनि फेरि अब कति कुराहरू पनि हुन्छ के जस्तो they cannot take everyone who wants to study sciences, right? Just as they cannot take everyone who wants to study social sciences or computer science, or philosophy. And so to balance पनि चाहिन्छ के. And they cannot take everyone. I mean, नेपालबाट टन्न क्यापेबल स्टुडेन्ट अप्लाई गर्छन् तर सबैलाई लिएर त्यहाँ नेपाली मात्र पनि त बनाउन सक्दैन. And that is why I said earlier, like the demand is high and the supply is less, right? Because they have to look for all of these. I mean, there are a lot of departments. They need to make sure everything is balanced out, and then the integrity and the diversity of the place is preserved. So it's a culmination of all of these things.
Okay. Yeah, that's true. That's yeah. Okay, so now the final question for today. As a senior year undergraduate in civil engineering here in TU, it's tough to find research opportunities. So what would be better, trying to do a research on my own or try to find in-person or virtual research internships abroad? If so, how do I contact institutions abroad for such opportunities?
Can you repeat that question once again?
Yeah, sure. As a senior year undergraduate in civil engineering in TU, it's tough to find research opportunities. So what would be better, trying to do research on my own or try to find in-person or virtual research internships abroad? If so, how do I contact institutions abroad for such opportunities?
Well, I actually understand what you are getting at, and I really feel, I mean, I feel for you that you are interested to do the research, like to explore things, but you don't have the opportunities. And what I'm going to suggest you is going to be very bold. So virtual and all of that opportunity is there, right? That's for you to explore and like get yourself into such programs. But something that you can do is say right now that you are in a senior year at TU. I mean, by now you must already know a few professors, right? Or say someone at the college who is in a position to like support you, right? Ask your professors the research they are doing and how you can be a part of it. It doesn't hurt to ask. Now, two things can happen. Either they will tell you that they are doing research on this and you are more than welcome to join. Sorry, three things can happen. So first is that they are doing a research and they will ask you to join, or they are doing something on a topic A and they may not let you join, or they will be guilty, or they'll be ashamed that even though they are professor by the title, they cannot bother about researching. And all three is going to be in your favor, because with the first you will get an opportunity, with the second you will know who not to seek help again, or where you may not get the opportunity, so you will learn to try somewhere else, right? And with the third, I mean, if they actually were someone who like got that professorship through hard work, it will push them to set up a lab for you, create such opportunities. And I think that way you will be helping generations of TU students who will be coming down the line. To change गर्नलाई चाहिँ एक दुईजना नै चाहिने हो क्या. And change doesn't come, I mean, it comes through collective effort, but the spark only comes from individual or a few students, right? So maybe you can be that spark. होइन, सिनियर इयर छ सर, यत्रो 4 वर्ष भयो, खै खासै रिसर्च चाहिँ गर्न पाइएन, बाहिर त्यस्तो हुन्छ. मलाई हाइड्रोलोजी, हाइड्रो पावरमा इन्ट्रेस्ट छ, वाटर इन्जिनियरिङ छ, हजुरले के गरिराख्नु भएको छ, होइन, म कसरी इन्भल्भ हुन सक्छु? It's okay, ask them. That's what we do at College Abroad. We write to our professors. So I looked up your profile and I saw you were researching on that. I'm very much interested. Can I join? Some professors say yes, you can join. Some say no, this may not be for you. And that's okay, right? It's so banda best to alikati bold huncha definitely. हैन, तर that way, like, you will be creating opportunities, you will be setting a precedence for generations of students to come. So I think that is the suggestion that I would give you. Other than that, अब आफै पनि रिसर्च पनि गर्न सकिन्छ के. अब अगेन कतिपय फिल्डहरुमा चाहिँ त्यो ल्याबै चाहिन्छ भन्ने छैन. जो सिभिल इन्जिनियरिङमै पनि you may need a lab if you are dealing with physical infrastructures like concrete or like reinforcement. But a lot of things, like you can just read papers, try to make sense out of it, and when you write to someone else, say अब तिमीले कुनै प्रोफेसरको पेपर देख्यौ, बाहिरकै प्रोफेसर भनौँ न, and say IIT को कुनै IIT Madras को or something, right? And then you are very interested, you can just shoot a cold email. I mean, like, cold email भनेको चाहिँ a email which may not get you a response back. But then if that person will ever read your email and find out you read their paper, they will be happy. It may create opportunities.
Yeah.
Right. So एउटा त रिसर्च गर्ने सेल्फ रिसर्चहरु त्यस्तो पनि हो के. Or you can collaborate with peers who are like-minded and then try to do something. Come up with a collective project or something. So it's really a very open-ended solutions, definitely. I mean, the challenge the massive नै हो, किनकि by this time you should have gotten a lot of lab experiences, and like for your final year project you should be getting a lot of support from your college. But त्यो छैन भने I'm just like, just unfortunate, and it's really not your fault. And those are the things I think you can do.
Yeah, that's true. Okay, guys. So with this question, we come to the end of the event. So I would like to thank Chandan Dai for taking his time out and attending this session. And I believe everyone would agree this was a really informative session. And I wish you good luck for your future endeavors, Dai, and best of luck at NYU.
Yeah, thank you so much. It really was a pleasure, and I mean, again, as I said, I mean, the purpose was to give you a true picture, right, a pragmatic picture. And I mean, if I can ever help any one of you, like, feel free to get in touch with me. Again, I mean, I'm not so active on social media. I mean, I write every now and then about causes that I feel passionate about, but then I'll definitely get back to you in my own time, and it would be such a pleasure for me to support you or answer your questions in whatever ways possible. And with that, I wish you all the best. Remember, if you forget everything that I said, एउटा मात्र कुरा सम्झे हुन्छ क्या, whatever is going to happen, this is probably सबभन्दा गाह्रो पार्ट त होला नै लाइफको, तर it's also like one of something that you can look back later down the line with a lot of fond memories. You state of confusion हुन्छ नि, so like live through it, right? And remember, it's not the end of the world. Tell you, if you forget everything, it's not the end of the world. Okay, even if you don't get into a program that isn't something that you sought, it's okay, right? Because the fact that you listen so intently to the session throughout is a testimony to how much committed you all are in doing something meaningful, right? So I wish you all the best and keep in touch.
Thank you, Dai. Thank you, Dai. Bye, Dai. Bye.